Those of you who were around in the 70s, what was it like seeing Star Wars for the first time? Please subscribe, leave a like, comment and share the video to help the channel. In my small town theater, Star Wars was the only thing playing for what I remember to be over 2 months. I would scrape together enough to buy a ticket, $1.25, and I would walk downtown and watch Star Wars 3 to 4 times a week. In all, I saw Star Wars several dozen times during its first run. The very first time I saw it, I remember being in awe at the size of the Star Destroyer. I was hooked from the very beginning. It was more awesome than you could possibly imagine. I was 10. We talked about it and played out scenes and lines from the movie for months. I was 13, and it was amazing to see something that looked real. The dirt and grime on everything. It felt like a whole real universe. No shiny silver suits and big finned rockets. The designs were amazing. And Vader was the first cool bad guy. And of course the lightsabers just blew everyone away. May 1977. I had just turned 6 years old. Was supposed to be picked up for a sleepover at a friend's house. Friend acted up and got in trouble. Punishment equals no sleepover. So there I am, bag packed. Dad tells me to get in the car. Won't tell me where we are going until we reached a parking lot of the theater. He pointed at the Marquis. I recognized the Star Wars logo and was elated. The movie starts. Dad knows I'm just a kindergarten age kid, so he reads the opening prologue script rolling off into the stars to me. The rest was an incredible adventure that drew me in from start to finish. I was hooked. My father could have probably cared less. His heroes growing up were cowboys in black and white films. But when a new Star Wars movie would roll out, me and him would go. Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, forward to May 1999. Phantom Menace. Dad forgets his glasses in the car. I read the rolling prologue to him this time. Close bracket. We do the other 2 prequels in the theater. He's getting older, pushing 80 now. I rented Force Awakens, so we could watch it in the comfort of their house as he's not getting around as well. Dad decides halfway though, to take a little nap. Go ahead old man, you've earned it. Regardless of what's been done with the franchise, since Disney got it, I still love it. It's hard to communicate to people who were brought up on super realistic CGI effects just how groundbreaking and astounding the first Star Wars film was. I would liken it to the difference the Beatles made on pop music when they arrived, but they wouldn't understand that either. The closest thing I can compare it to is the moment in The Wizard of Oz that suddenly goes from sepia tone to Technicolor. It was just such a pivotal moment when everything changed and nothing would be the way it had been before. The Star Wars effects were long before CGI. They were all camera tricks, painted mats, and models, but they looked so real it was startling. The special effects in movies that came before it, especially space-themed ones, perhaps except for 2001, A Space Odyssey in 1969, suddenly became quaintly amateurish. I was so affected by it, I had to see it again the next day, and to this day I'm still impressed by what Lucas was able to accomplish with the techniques available at the time. And that's just about the way the film looked. I won't even get into the creative way the story was told, the depth of the plot or the remarkable variety of characters. It was and still is one of the most remarkable movies ever made, and we knew it long before the end credits rolled. The opening scene blew you away, and you stayed there. What a wild ride. Classic good vs evil story told in a futuristic space setting with incredible special effects. I wound up seeing it 18 times in the theater. Great movie. I was 7 and initially wasn't that interested, but my dad was curious, so we made plans to go. I did something that day to get in trouble, can't remember what, and the trip was temporarily called off, but by this point dad really wanted to see it, so we went. Life changing is too trite. I fell in love instantly, became obsessed with the figures, everything. Still love it 42 years later. It's also the only movie that I've seen in a theater with my dad. Ask my dad. When the destroyer first passed overhead, people were gasping, oohing, and ahhing. Today's CGI action scenes are too fast paced to be awesome. They're just constant cuts, punches, shots, half-second flybys, pans, explosions, and a dozen different things on the screen at the same time. It's hectic. The viewer feels overwhelmed. There's no time to take in the scale of objects or the details, to think about what's going on. The Star Wars opening scene is brilliant. Starts off with a calm written story. Peacefully pans to show a planet. No, it's a moon, and another moon, and then the great planet reveals itself in the foreground, with a tingly suspenseful music rising in strength. The blockade runner appears in the frame. Races along. Clearly a large ship with a bank of powerful engines glowing. It evokes awe. But despite its size, it is on the defensive. The Star Destroyer enters. Still no cuts. The nose alone dwarfs the Corvette. But there is more. It feels that this lumbering beast is never ending. Lasers flash and blast, but the slow ships keep drifting along. Trapped in the chase. No quick turns, no evasive action. Just a desperate chase and the powerful roar of immense Star Destroyer engines that glow unimaginably strong. Like three suns. Only now, a cut to show from a different angle how hopelessly outmatched the blockade runner is. Seen from inside the ship shows terrified passengers, sentient robots, but no exploding or sparking panels, no quick cuts and pans, just mild shaking and rumbly sound effects. Reactor shut down. Suspenseful clanks. Cut to outside, where the Corvette is inevitably swallowed up by the giant aggressor. It's simple. It's calm. It's inevitable. And the viewer is awed, not by how many polygons and particle effects and lens flares the animators can fit into each second of the film, but by the scale and the suspense. The story. The viewer is never overwhelmed with too much information. Instead of becoming exhausted, the viewer is engaged. I did not see Star Wars until after I saw Empire. In those days they would re-release popular movies at the theater, before video stores that is. It was an exciting movie to see for the first time. When Star Wars came out, I was working as a projectionist. I was totally mesmerized at the first showing. I had never seen anything on screen that came close to it. At the end of the first week, and 16 showings later, I still enjoyed it, but it kinda got old. I still remember the majority of the dialogue. Summer, 1977. I was 10 years old, and I saw it alone. I was at the movies with my cousin. We were often dropped off at the movies as a babysitter, so our moms could shop. My cousin wanted to go see a movie we had already seen. She had no interest in a space movie. I was bored, and didn't care what came on, as long as I hadn't already seen it. I snuck over to the other screen, and was ready to see whatever came on. It was a two-screen theater. From the moment the words started to crawl, I was transfixed. The story was captivating, Luke was cool, and the special effects were unlike anything I had ever seen. When it ended, I was genuinely sad there wasn't more. I loved the movie. It started a lifelong love of science fiction and space movies. I've seen all the sequels in the theater on release weekend. I'll be seeing Rise of Skywalker this Sunday. Can't wait. I remember friends that saw it first and couldn't stop talking about it. There was no commercials or any indication it was going to be anything other than any other movie. Seeing it was like seeing something that never existed till you sat down and watched it. I think I saw it a few times that summer. In those days there wasn't a stream of movies coming out. I want to say I think I saw it the following summer as well. This was before VHS were in vogue, so you really had to see it multiple times at the theater. Then that Christmas there were a few toys that came out, but nothing like nowadays. Star Wars played in the Center Theater in downtown Salt Lake for a solid year. It just kept making money. Everyone kept coming back to see it over and over. Most kids my age, 15, saw it 10 or 12 times, about once a month. When the theater ran ads in the newspaper saying its run was almost over, everybody crowded in to see it one last time. Lines around the block for a film that had already been playing a year. During the final showings, I attended 3, the audience jumped to their feet and gave a standing ovation at the first screen appearance of Luke, and also Leia, Vader, and Han. I heard someone sobbing behind me. I was surprised when I turned and saw it was actually the school bully standing on his seat, clapping, laughing, and crying. Please subscribe, leave a like, comment and share the video to help the channel.